Hi, I'm Eduardo Villanueva Mansilla, professor at the Department of Communications of Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú. My interest regarding AI has to do with policymaking and the global ideation of technology and digital media, and how this ideational process affects emerging economies, like my country's. Yeah? Just as many transnational corporations have done before, AI makers have designed their actions around the terra nullius principle. The world is empty and ready to be conquered, and those indigenous to the land to be taken have to acquiesce to the power of tech. It may sound excessive, but the main difference between current ICT-driven capitalist R&D and the previous eras of the internet is the emergence of the existential risk narrative. Of course, the AI hype cycle includes the affirmation of a potential for good that will be brought by widespread adoption of AI systems. Such potential is easily recognizable as a connecting thread from the earliest attempts to monetize the internet to these current developments. Certainly, there are risks associated with any adoption of technological innovation. Currently, they lay mostly around the unchained growth of resource usage, like electricity, that are putting even more pressure on the climate crisis. AI and other technologies are contributing to tipping points approaching us faster and faster. For the actual risk, specific to information access, point to a reinforcement of current patterns rather than the innovation-derived risk. The already unequal world we're living in may turn into a more unequal one, based on a larger collection of factors acting upon societies. The power of AI is based on the extraction of specific resources, data derived from cultural, economic, and social practices for the feeding of systems that are designed to create more content. It is not a matter of apparent consciousness or a computer agency, but rather the actual extractive economy around tech getting even bigger. The environmental risks? Cut. We are living through an AI hype cycle. Multiple corporations are promoting the advances made thanks to transformer models, as much as they are also promoting themselves as the future of, well, almost anything. In this hyping of generative AI, there has been two specific trends repeated constantly. First of all, the notion of AI as potentially autonomous, outside of immediate and final control by its creators. And from there, the notion of existential risk from potentially conscious AI systems that may act against human interests. Besides exaggerations with little evidence behind, these two notions are basically arguments based on the same arrangement, in which tech exists in a political and social vacuum. A digital trend. How to deal with this situation? There are activists demanding justice in the allocation of resources, not just in ecological terms, but also in the production of models themselves, which are biased towards the Western economy's content industries, showing biases in terms of class, ethnicity, and gender, to name a few. However, the current AI industry, as well as the whole digital media industry, is the result of the realignment of capitalism in the late 20th century, when globalization became a shortcut to describe a world open to all kinds of trade, where the competitive advantages of some economies require that developing ones let the innovation coming from those developed world to enter freely into their local markets. Under this scenario, the trend towards concentration of economic power in a few actors was a feature, not a bug. During the past decade, the consolidation of the dominant actors, most of them coming from the USA, became a fact of life. Even now, after some attempts to rein them in, countries like Canada or Australia have faced the difficulties of setting national regulations into transnational private actors under current trade regimes. The abandonment of news by Meta or Alphabet, for instance, is a result of decisions taken by the actors from their own good, for their own good, notwithstanding the potential for creating news deserts in countries where news information has turned mostly into a digital game, without actual local alternatives, since the widespread adoption of digital media has overwhelmed local media markets and thus destroyed conventional news outlets. Urgent demand for alternatives. A new regime has to accept that the current digital ecosystem has to be reined in internationally, not just at the national or regional level. This is particularly critical for emerging economies, as they lack the wherewithal to confront the power of transnational corporations that exist in their digital realm, into which there are few, if any, legal instruments to act nationally. A fair regime will not be able to provide the same quality of services for every instance of use, because the internal structure of digital media, including the, for argument's sake, AI, makes that impossible. We need accommodation to the local without losing the power to understand the world at the global. Cosmopolitan AI. An actual cosmopolitan approach is needed. In this particular sense, cosmopolitan means welcoming to diversity but also affirming of identity. AI must have modes allowing fitting limits to what can be used but also of what should be used, while maintaining a level of openness to the world with its whole richness of human knowledge. This must be done respecting intellectual property rights but also affirming fair use, and promoting linguistic and cultural independence without losing the power of inputting diversity. Thanks. Gracias.